I learned that I had MS on September 11th. I was in New York City in Midtown. I was watching the attack on the World Trade Center, and I had my first multiple sclerosis episode. Immediately after the events of 9/11, they thought perhaps that I had post-traumatic stress disorder, but that was actually disproved when they did an MRI, and my whole brain and spinal cord lit up with lesions. I learned that there was no cure. The best advice that I received at the time was to basically slow down the disease using these disease-modifying drugs. And the one that he selected for me was beta-seron. And I ended up being on beta-seron for the better part of 17 years. In 2015, things became clear that my disease was progressing rapidly and I was losing function. I was measuring it primarily through running. My right foot would start to drag when I became fatigued. And so then I would trip and fall and kiss the pavement and get bloodied up. My muscles were very, very taut at all times. So it became very, very difficult to do any exercise. And then eventually it became almost impossible to walk. I felt like what I was doing was clearly not working and that I was on a path towards total disability and I needed to figure out other alternative solutions. You know, they say that necessity is the mother of invention. I felt like I was staring down the barrel of a shotgun and I had to figure things out. And so I embarked on a journey to understand everything I could about multiple sclerosis. When I started examining HSCT, there wasn't a lot of great data available. Basically, the numbers were like this, that there's an 85% chance that it would halt the progression of the disease. So that means that whatever level of disability one had going into the treatment, that's the amount of disability you would have going out of the treatment, but the disease wouldn't get any worse. There's about a 10% chance that not only would the disease stop, but some of the or all of the accumulated disability from the disease would be rolled back. And then there was about a 5% chance that it wouldn't work. And so I'm a finance guy and you know, I price risk all day long in my job. And so those numbers look really, really good. The treatment cost $50,000 out of pocket, and that resulted in stopping the progression of the disease. So HSCT in a nutshell, they are going after the cause of the disease versus the symptoms. They're going after the fact that you have bad code in your blood and that needs to be removed and replaced with good code that's not programmed to attack your central nervous system. So the way they do it is they jack you up full of steroids. Your body creates a huge amount of stem cells. They harvest those through a blood transfusion machine, and then they knock down your immune system with chemo, take it down to zero, and then reboot your own body with your own stem cells that then go into your bone marrow to create a brand new immune system that isn't programmed to attack your central nervous system. When I went in for HSCT, I was in a Moscow clinic, and I was admitted into a room about 9 by 12, and that's the room that I was going to be in for the next month. So today I'm going to get a catheter in my neck right here. My immune system went to near zero, and then at that point in time, they reintroduced my own stem cells. So I've got 4 more days in isolation. The sensation that I felt at that time was beyond euphoric. I had never felt anything as powerful. It felt like just pure light running through my body. I think I fell into that 10% bucket where I not only stopped the progression of the disease, but I was able to roll back the accumulated disability, or a significant portion of it. I started feeling that I had more range of motion, strength, endurance, and I just, for the next 6 months, really tried to increase that every day just by a little bit, which led me to a very good result where about 85% of my accumulated disability just went away. I mean, when I had multiple sclerosis, I lost the ability to run, walk, you know, play any sports, skiing, tennis, golf. I lost sexual function, all things that, you know, were very dear to me. And, you know, I was able to gain those functions back. I feel like I got my life back in a way that was almost unimaginable at the time, because I had very dark thoughts prior to HSCT. I didn't want to be a burden to my friends and family. I had suicidal thoughts for the first time in my life. And then after HSCT, I had just this lust for life where I wanted to get everything back. I wanted to go hard, and I wanted to gain that function and have those experiences with friends and family, and really try to go big. And that's what I've been doing ever since. The lesions that I have in my brain and spinal cord are no longer active, and they're no longer growing, which is a strong indication that the disease is in remission. I think with the disease-modifying drugs, you don't get those types of outcomes. The MS drug category of these disease-modifying drugs is approaching $30 billion a year. This is a very large drug category that is being, I believe, protected by the Big Pharma industry. They are doing so with a budget that's approaching $400 million a year to lobby the US government. I think that you have to recognize that Big Pharma views you as a number, and it's a recurring revenue stream for them. They're trying to maximize the lifetime value of your cash flows. So they would like you to stay on disease-modifying drugs for the rest of your life, irrespective of the quality of life that you have. HSCT wants to basically halt the progression of the disease and remove the need for any future purchases of pharmaceutical products. And so that is very much in contrast to the objectives of the pharmaceutical industry. I think when the clinical trial data is eventually published, it'll become readily apparent that this was the dominant course of action, the dominant strategy for anyone suffering from multiple sclerosis. But it will become so self-evident and obvious that anyone looking back at it will really question why people didn't adopt this strategy much earlier.